My name is Eve Badana. I'm a goalkeeper and I play for DLR Waves.
I love football.
I bloody love football, don't I?
Back of the net.
Desire, hungry, and a lot of times I use the word horny to my play.
When we make clean sheet, I pay to everybody a pizza.
No, you have to make a decision in relation to that, because I need to know from you what is the most important thing, if it is to play well or if it is to win matches.
We've shown wonderful character this week.
You're very welcome along to the DLR Waves Show. Post Sport at Post Sport on Twitter and Instagram as always, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube below. This week we have Eve Badana, super keeper Eve Badana. Eve, you've earned the name Janla Eve Badana on our Instagram thanks to some goalkeeping heroics in recent seasons.
That's very funny. I haven't heard that one before. That's gas.
Yeah, I know. Buffon was one of your. You were saying Buffon was one of your goalkeeping heroes. Do you plan on playing into your 40s like Buffon is doing right now?
Yeah, I saw he's just signed on for his next professional contract. So to keep going, you know what, fair play to him. I think that's something that most goalkeepers aspire to. Sure, long may it last, I'd say.
Interesting weekend for you, I suppose. Last weekend, great win for the team. I suppose when it's a 5-0 win, no one's talking about the team that won 5-0's goalkeeper. So it's probably a bit of an odd weekend for you because you didn't have a lot to do. Is it hard to remain focused when your team is really on the attack? Does it get easy to kind of lose your focus in those games?
You know what, Kieran, if I was never mentioned for the rest of this WNL season, I would be happy if it meant we won every match by that margin. But to your point, I suppose, any and every team in this league will pose a threat. So you kind of have to always be tuned in and switched on to the match. I think one of the things that you kind of realize a bit more with experience is that in matches where you may not necessarily have as much of the play in your defending third, staying connected, staying involved with the plays and communicating is kind of a way to like I said, stay tuned in and switched on. So never a dull moment in the 90 minutes, I'd say. But we are pleased with our performance this weekend.
Yeah, it was a fantastic performance. Looking across the team, there's a lot of good players. It's probably, in terms of numbers, the strongest squad in the league. I mean, you have two very good goalkeepers, including yourself, and then it's basically you nearly have three players for every position. So it's going to be a very competitive season within DLR Waves alone, and that can only be good for the team in the league ultimately.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The depth of our squad is astonishing at this point, and as you know, it's quite a long season, so it's guaranteed that there will be lots of rotation for not just because of competition and that level, but just as it is quite a long season, things happen. So we're very, very fortunate to have the quality and quantity of players in our squad, and you have lots of players who are very versatile, who can play different positions, so it just kind of adds to that. But I guess the important thing is, as we continue, just to kind of keep the morale high, keep the positive attitudes in camp, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking to Aver Brierley last week, and we were kind of mentioning a few players, including yourself, Jess Gleeson and Averill, who are kind of leaders in the team at this stage. And it's your job to kind of make sure everyone's playing for the same team, everyone's going in the right direction. How are the new players settling in?
Yeah, really, I think really well. You saw some great results with our opening match and the impact that some of the new signings have had. So, I think I've definitely noticed since we've come back in January for our preseason that again, year on year, the level has increased, and that's due to an influx of seriously talented players. So there's lots of positive reports, and hopefully those will kind of turn into continued results.
And you were a little bit busy in pre-season as well. You were over in Spain for the Pinatar Cup, a fourth international cap. It was a long time coming. How did you feel running onto the pitch? Do you remember the moment you were running onto the pitch as a substitute?
Yeah, again, just absolutely kind of, it's always an honor and a privilege to be involved in any kind of shape or form, but to get onto the pitch for the match against Wales, it was, you know, just I was in a little bit of disbelief, of course, as you kind of are, just in the deepest corner of your own mind. But no, I was very excited, and I felt lots of support throughout the week in preparing for each match. So I was very very pleased.
Yeah. I imagine it's kind of almost a feeling of this is great. I'm on the pitch. I'm getting to play for my country. But then it's kind of like, oh wait, I have to actually play a game of football here. I think there was about half an hour left when you came on, and you kind of have to almost snap out of it and ignore the size of the occasion.
Yeah, I suppose like with that's just it, especially as a goalkeeper. You're coming on with a narrow 1-0 lead. You don't want to get scored on at any time, but definitely not when those are the circumstances. And when we were playing a match for third place in the tournament, it was definitely something that the scene was set, we'll say. But no, really really got that I got that experience.
Just taking it back a little bit, you're as people can probably tell by your accent, you're not from Dunleary. You're from Canada originally, and you actually originally started your career playing underage for Canada, but then during I believe it was during an underage World Cup, you were playing against Ireland, and you were suddenly you were swayed to play for Ireland. You how did that come about?
Yeah, like definitely, like, long story, but there were kind of a number of factors which contributed to it, but definitely one of them was seeing Ireland in the 2010 World Cup, and kind of seeing their kind of like ethos. It is pretty obvious when you see an Irish team walking through, you kind of, and you see them off the pitch, you see them on the pitch, and you're like, okay, wow, like, part, like, a large part of me identified with that. And so from there, it's kind of wheels returning and things fell into place, and I was so very very fortunate to link up then with the senior squad shortly after, which again we're talking about nearly over a decade ago. So it's just I mean, like I said, long story short, that's and here I am.
We had this last week as well. Avril was saying she's getting old, and I'm a bit older than her. If you're getting old, I'm the same age as you, so I'm a little bit worried. But looking at then how you ended up playing in the Women's National League, you came over. You came over and you ended up playing for Cork. Was that a difficult decision to kind of drop everything in Canada and suddenly come over to a foreign land and start studying?
No, not at all, actually. It was kind of the opposite. It just felt like the most natural thing to do, to be honest. I just finished up in America, and I was kind of looking at, what I want to do next, where I want to go with football, with my studies and everything in between. And it was just one of those things. I don't know if I had a second thought about it. I was like, right. It was just kind of where I'd go, and Cork at the time was the best choice for me, and went over, got a great academic link up there with UCC, and completed my postgraduate degree in law at the same time playing for UCC and for Cork City. So it really it set me up in the Women's National League, and I'm really really delighted and grateful for that opportunity.
Was it a bit of a shock to the system when you heard the Cork accent for the first time?
Yeah, well, again, fortunately, I'd been over and back, so it wasn't quite the culture shock you would think.
Yeah, it's a bit different to the Canadian one anyway. And then you ended up playing for DLR Waves. How did you find your way coming across the country playing for DLR Waves?
Yeah, well, so I initially moved up to Dublin because of my job, and you know at the time I wanted to give myself kind of the best chance to settle in with the kind of new demands of that. So I didn't initially reach out to any club actually while I kind of got myself set up, and I wasn't in the pale long before Graham reached out and said, would be very interested in taking a look and getting me out to training and everything. And I was very clear with him from the start. I was like, look, I'm in this job. I'm trained to be a solicitor. There are some serious demands on my time, and I have a few commitments, outside the football pitch. And in all fairness, Graham was so understanding, so amenable to kind of working through things and to kind of understand what it might mean for myself and for the team. But again, I haven't looked back since. I've been fortunate to be supported in work and of course through DLR Waves, so really really enjoying it now.
That's the thing about playing in the Women's National League. Everyone kind of has to balance either work and playing, or college and playing, family and playing. It's none of you. I remember saying to Kylie Murphy before, "You're not making the big bucks," and she correctly corrected me, saying, "I'm not making any bucks." And it's you kind of have to love it. I remember talking to you before, and you said you kind of have to love it to play in the Women's National League.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think with football, at any level, you can have that kind of love for it, which is great. And even now, like playing in the highest level in the country, you're right, you really do have to love it to meet the requirements, meet the commitments that are asked of you. I'll be honest, it's not easy. Sometimes it's absolutely not easy balancing it and not feeling like you want to let anyone down, in terms of work and just keeping your own balance. It's tough, especially when the season is as long as it is, with matches as spread out as they are, with midweek fixtures popping up here and there. It puts a lot of pressure on anyone kind of with other large commitments in their life. But look, for the moment, the balancing act has been struck. So won't look too far into that.
Yeah, it's working very well for you at the moment. You won Goalkeeper of the Year last season in the Women's National League Awards. More importantly, you won the Post to Post Sport Post-it for DLR Waves Player of the Year. But first of all, on the Women's National League Award, it must be a great honor to, like, you're not the only good goalkeeper in the league, so it must be a very good honor to get the award for being the best goalkeeper in the league.
Sure, like you said, the league is filled with excellent goalkeepers, and I think last season really kind of demonstrated that, like each team kind of illustrated why their goalkeeper should be goalkeeper of the year. There's no question about that. So to kind of pip at the post, as you'd say, yeah, I was blown away, to be honest, unexpected, and I was very very humbled.
I don't know what it is about Ireland and goalkeepers. We have for the men's team, we have 3 good goalkeepers at the moment, and unfortunately Ireland can only play 1. And there's a few more good goalkeepers in the Ireland squad alongside yourself. What's the relationship like between goalkeepers in the same squad? Like, because only one of you is going to play. Is there a bit of rivalry there, or is all that kind of pushed aside?
Well, I think you're right about Ireland producing excellent goalkeepers, and I'd be remiss not to say that, for myself, definitely, if I look in any way good, it's because of the 10 players in front of me and the management behind me and everyone else who kind of puts in a massive shift to keep training sharp and to keep pushing on. So that's, like, I guess the first thing to say is that all credit where credit's due. Goalkeepers, even though sometimes they are isolated for certain things, I can only be grateful to the team and the management to help me get there. And in terms of the kind of relationship between the GKU, as we say, the goalkeeper union, like with DLR Waves, myself and Rigsy, with the Ireland goalkeeper kind of quartet that's around at the moment. It's quite professional. It's really good. I think goalkeepers have a great appreciation, for the most part, of other goalkeepers, their techniques, their kind of strengths, their abilities. It's constantly learning from another goalkeeper is like one of the best situations to be in. And I'm grateful to have that at the club level, and in any involvement I have with Ireland. So I'm quite pleased with kind of dynamic in terms of being able to learn and being able to kind of I guess just to learn and observe.
Beyond Ireland, whether it's the women's game or the men's game, what kind of goalkeepers would you look at in the professional game as kind of I suppose the standard bearers?
It's funny actually at the moment. Donnarumma is playing for PSG, and he would definitely be one of the top goalkeepers in Europe. I'm a Liverpool supporter, so of course Alisson and Kelleher are top goalkeepers as well. I think Klopper just said recently, after the big Carabao Cup win, that Kelleher is the best backup goalkeeper in the world, and even that doesn't seem to do him as much justice as he deserves for his performances and his work ethic. So there's lots of goalkeepers there's to look at and to see. I think the goalkeeper school is constantly evolving, with different techniques and different kind of approaches. So it's always interesting to see different skills.
You wouldn't have been allowed back in Cork if you didn't mention Kelleher. You mentioned there being a Liverpool supporter. How did you just start supporting Liverpool?
That's again one of those other long stories, but actually, funnily enough, my sister's a lifetime Liverpool supporter, and it's one of those things that outside of the kind of family support, you look at the club and you see their model, and how they develop players, and how they've constantly pushed to be the best in the Premier League, in Europe, in the world, and it's something you can really appreciate and get behind.
Yeah, well, I think they're doing quite well at the moment. I'm not going to lie, I have the Real Madrid Paris Saint-Germain on in the background, but I am paying attention. Don't worry. I'll try not to jump up if there's a goal. Just I asked Avril last week. I have to ask you this week. Who's the best at picking music in the dressing room or on the team bus ahead of a game?
Best. Well, actually this year we have a kind of communal Spotify playlist that people can add into, and so that levels the playing field, if you will, and gets a bit of a mix going. Different genres and different decades of music taste. So, but I must say, DJ Kate Mooney, definitely always a crowd pleaser.
She always gets a shout out. Kate Mooney always gets a shout out. We'll try to get her on the podcast to DJ for us. What are you adding to the playlist?
I would add sweet nothing to it, but I would be there for the dance.
You're more of a dancer than a DJ then. Okay.
That's it. That's exactly.
Okay, that's not too bad. And you can take 3 of your teammates with you to a desert island. Who are you going to pick?
Take 3 to a desert island. Now, I must say, I don't know where we're finding the time to go to a desert island with the season we have ahead of us.
Presumably, and you're
the off season,
presumably
December.
Around the month of December, around for St. Stephen's Day, we'll say.
I was gonna say, I was like, the off season. 3 of my, I don't know. You know what? Is it 3 teammates? So 4 of us.
So it's you and 3 teammates. Yeah, I can tell you now. I don't want to bias you, but last week Aver Brierly picked you. So I don't know if you want to return the favor, or if you want to pick her.
You know what? I'd say nobody gets out of this. I take the full squad, and we'd be doing 11v11 everyday training for pre-season.
Okay. So even if you're stranded on the desert island, it's still you have to keep it up.
Listen, that's it. We have to train like we're gonna come back and be thrown into matches.
Okay. Well,
try and get after.
Try to arrange that for the pre-season. You meant.
Yeah, we could do like a pre-season away
Yeah,
trip.
yeah, to a
That's what we'll
desert
do.
island. I don't.
Can the desert island be, Gran Canaria or
Yeah,
something? Or
something nice.
is
Hopefully,
that
hopefully,
a
like
possibility?
that'd be. It'll probably end up being like the Aran Islands or something. But I mean, we'll try. We'll aim high. We'll aim for.
Yeah, that's probably more
Yeah.
likely.
Looking at it, you said there the off season, like it's a short one, and I suppose I suppose you don't get a lot of time to rest during the week, and that probably means you have to be really conscious of looking after yourself, sleeping enough, eating right, exercising. Well, you exercise anyway, being a footballer, but you have to be really conscious of kind of constantly looking after yourself, I suppose.
Yeah, you're right there. You just kind of have to, like, first and foremost, like, you do have to mind yourself in terms of for preparation for kind of what's being asked of you in training and in matches, and that's something that I've really kind of prioritized. You know, like, my goal is to try and play every match. Like last season, I achieved that goal, and that can only happen if you stay injury free. So, again, knocking on wood, I'm just trying to get the balance right, as you said, and mind yourself in terms of rest, nutrition, proper kind of warm ups and cool downs, and all that kind of good stuff that people say, but it really does make the difference. And of course, sleep is, irreplaceable.
And just the final question: what's your favorite sports podcast?
Well, there can only be one. There can only be one, and that's Off the Ball. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Last time he was
kidding.
coming on the show. I've never heard of Off the Ball. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I know. No, I think, in all fairness to Post to Post, they've been such great and like adamant supporters of the Waves. So thank you very much for spearheading that, and for always looking out for us.
For Waves till we die, and there's no other way around it. I can't believe we made it through the podcast without me making a joke about you laying down the law or something like that. I think this might be the first time I've interviewed you without kind of going there. But Eve, thanks very much for coming on, and we hopefully talk to you again at some stage during the season.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's at Post Sport on Twitter and Instagram, and remember to subscribe to us below for all our content.